we're going to get things started. Elizabeth, what's first?
Yeah, we're going to kick off fast. We have Stephan, who is the head of EMEA AI Center of Excellence at Intel. He's going to be talking to us about how to make AI everywhere a reality. Yeah, welcome to the stage, Stephan.
Okay, so thanks for the introduction, and welcome from my side and from Intel's side to the CloudFest as well. It's amazing to be here, right? And what a variance of guests they have. Who remembers last year when Boris Becker was here? Hands up. Wasn't that? That was quite a special moment for me because he was one of my youth idols, right, when I started playing tennis. And today, we also have an AI idol coming up, right, with Jürgen Schmidhuber. So I like that. It's an honor to be on the same stage with all of you together. So what are we going to talk about today is what the world is talking about. It's AI. But we will try to show you a little bit on how to make it a reality. I'm Stephan Gillich. I'm the head of the AI Center of Excellence of Intel here in Europe. And I hope we can go together through a nice show. This is the slide our legal guy always asked me to put up. So if you're interested, scan it and you get more details. So AI. I don't know how long you have been hearing about AI, but it's basically in every board discussion today, and maybe even in your dinner discussions, right? I had my moment when my parents, who are quite old, they're 90 years old, asked me, what is this thing, künstliche Intelligenz? Well, that's the German word for AI. You know, it's arrived in the society, not just in business. And we have been going through from basic machine learning into deep learning, into generative AI, and that all happened very fast since the last 2 years. And this kind of development obviously was based on the things we are talking here about independently of AI. It's compute power, it's cloudification. Let's see how that all comes together to bring AI everywhere. Now, here's a few statistics. You can mention a lot of things, but a few key things from Gartner. They say like 80% of the enterprises will use Gen AI by 2026, and that's not that far away. So speak about AI everywhere. And 70% of the PC, we estimate, will be AI PCs by 28. Obviously, that's going to be supported by the cloud as well. And also the edge deployment is growing. So it's really, really accelerating at a really fast speed. So basically what we can say is in business, there's not a question on which business is influenced by AI, because I get this question from journalists often, what do you think where AI is helping, right? And I say, ask me the question the other way around, ask me where AI is not playing, and I will tell you it's nowhere. So every company is going to be an AI company. That's very, very clear. Now, let's look at how we can bring AI everywhere. From our side, from Intel's side, what can we do there? So very simplistically, without speaking of products at this time, there's 4 pillars we have. One is to accelerate innovation. Well, this sounds like an easy thing. You put in technology and you accelerate innovation. We mean it a little bit differently. What we mean is we need to create an open, mainly software environment, which is really enabling US developers and service providers to do that innovation in a way which is open and accessible. So we'll speak about this in a little bit more detail later. Then the next 2 are more natural for us as a hardware and silicon vendor. and also software vendor, is to maximize value. What does that mean? Now, if we say AI goes everywhere, it comes at a price. And the price is you need performance and you need energy for that. So to work on that and maximizing the value we get with AI and keep it in balance with the TCO, that's what we mean by maximizing value. And then, if you want to use AI in a way that is successful, that is also private, that is alongside the challenges we have and really solving the challenges and not just looking at the technology, we need to be able to deploy it everywhere. So basically, deploy it in the cloud. That's what we are talking a lot about here and what is happening a lot already. But we also need to think about deploying it in the edge, in industry applications, in the factory, where latency plays a big role. Or we need to talk about all the devices you have in your hands right now or on your desk and looking at them. Would it be not fascinating to have AI at your fingertips on your device and keep some things private, reduce the latency, not going back to the cloud all time in a hybrid environment? So that's why we need to deploy and run AI everywhere. And that we will talk a little bit about how we enable that. And last but not least, you've probably heard about the EU AI Act now being finalized and probably coming into play in 26. And other countries are doing similar things. There's GDPR. AI is driven by data, so we need to make sure the data is secure and stays private where it needs to stay private. So there's a lot of things to do around staying secure and staying responsible. So if you bring all of these things together, then you see what we are working on together with a large ecosystem of companies. Now, I've said today we will speak about how to make it a reality. And with that, I want to invite my first guest, Ahmed Judat from BeWant. BeWant is a startup, and they are doing very interesting things. We are working with them in a program called Liftoff, which I'll describe a little bit later on. But first of all, please, Ahmed, come up and show us a little bit what you're doing. Welcome, Ahmed. Welcome, Ahmed. Over to you.
So at BeWant, we specialize in multimodal AI platforms and data management for enterprises. Our goal is to make AI accessible and easy to use for everyone. So videos account for 82% of all web traffic. It has become one of the most popular data for Teams meetings, corporate trainings, and entertainment. However, you can't find any tool to interact with those videos like you would with text. So we decided to build a video chat that could understand both language and vision and answers based on the specific context of the video.
So we're looking at an example right now, which is actually a recording from a keynote one of my colleagues did a while back in late autumn last year at Innovation. So over to you. We're playing the video.
Yeah, let's see the example.
First 10 minutes of your keynote here, Greg, and I already fed it into the tool, and I asked it to summarize the video, and as you can see, this is the output that it came back with. Feels like a pretty good summary of it. Yep, sounds good to me. So what we're actually doing now is actually ask it something more specific. What did CodePlay release? And so what it's doing now is the tool takes the multimodal inputs from text, images, speech, and video and structures that data into the same vector space. So now you can interact with it in natural language, and it will answer understanding the specific context of the data that you've provided. as you can see, it found the answer. I think that's right, Greg?
That's correct.
And it found exactly where in the video you mentioned it. So what we're going to do is actually, it's going to bring it up here on the screen, and I'm going to hit play there.
NVIDIA GPUs, one API for AMD GPUs, and of course, one API for
Sounds
Intel
great, right?
GPUs. And the code
Yeah,
works
so,
seamlessly across
and
the
remember that message, very important message as well.
So, explain us what has happened here.
Yeah, so we developed the solution using Intel Developer Cloud, splitting the workload between the 4th generation Xeon processors and the Intel Max series GPUs, and optimize the full stack using Intel software.
Okay, so the interesting part of that is really you can analyze not only text or use text as input, but also video. And that is a fascinating thing, kind of multimodal AI. We're going to see much more of that going forward, and there's a lot of nice applications you can run with that. If you want to know more about that, Ahmed will be around, at least for today, at our booth. Thanks a lot, Ahmed.
Thanks, Stephan. Thanks for having me.
Give him a round of applause. So thanks for the demo, right? So let's look at how we enable this. What we are seeing is different usages of AI, and AI is going everywhere, but it doesn't mean everybody is only run AI applications and nothing else. So there's a lot of traditional applications around which are enhanced by AI. So we see different usage scenarios. Remember what I said before, we want to maximize value, we want to deploy or enable platforms to deploy everywhere. So what we need to do, we need to bring AI into general purpose platforms. So the PCs you're using, the servers based on Xeon CPUs, which you have in your data centers in the cloud. So that's what we're doing for general purpose AI. That's really important. But there's the other end of AI when things need to be trained. This is a very specific workload, and we need accelerators for that. So Intel is investing there as well. We have our Gaudi 2 accelerator, which I'll come to in a second in a bit more detail. And then there's general acceleration, which I call it unit acceleration for graphics or HPC applications, which come together with AI to build a new class of applications. That's where we need data center GPUs. So that's also then enveloped or topped by a software environment. As I spoke before, to enable innovation, you need an open software environment. So put that on top to serve all these usage scenarios and the respective platforms. So if you want in a nutshell what Intel is doing about AI, this is a big part of it, to basically have an AI portfolio which consists of different hardware variants with software on the top, which makes it interoperable. So if you look at that picture, you see a lot of logos, which are our products. I'll not go into detail, but obviously we're here to do that. I'll just pick a few. For instance, to infuse AI into the main process you use in your cloud, Xeon, we have basically come up with a technology called AMX, Advanced Matrix Extension, which speeds up AI by doing the underlying math, which is matrix manipulations, very fast. 4th and 5th generation of Xeon Scalable have this. On the other hand, for deep learning acceleration, for running AI workloads which are very heavy, which are very demanding, we have the Gaudi 2 accelerator, which is actually built just to run AI applications. It's not a GPU, doesn't do graphics, it just runs deep learning in a very efficient way. If you come to our booth, you can see those things in action. And on top, we have the software environment, which supports basically the common APIs which we need for AI. So let's have a look at this in a little bit more detail, because software is very important. You can have a lot of hardware, but you need to support it by a software stack which is open, which allows an API on the top, which is completely independent of the platforms you're using, but still makes those platforms efficient. Remember, maximizing value was one of the things, And we need to drive it efficiently to save power, to enable applications. So how are we doing this? So there's basically three elements or three phases in an AI application. The data phase, where you assemble data, where you structurize data, so it's ready for the modeling phase, where you create and train the models, which you then use basically for the purpose, the inferencing, what we just seen in this example, analyzing the video so you can ask questions. Those three phases we need to support. So our philosophy here and what we're doing is to support the common open frameworks, like, for instance, PyTorch, TensorFlow, Modin, SciPy, at each stage of this application development in a way that it's open and scalable. How do we do that? Because we have such many platforms, we have CPUs, we have GPUs, we have specific accelerators like Gaudi 2, we need a common middleware layer. And that middleware layer we call one API. As a programmer, as a user of AI, you will never actually see that. But for us and the technology companies behind that, it's very, very important to have that layer, to have a portable layer to support all the hardware. And the good thing is, this layer is open to other architectures as well. It's not just for Intel architectures, it's open to other architectures as well. So it's a very key point for an open environment, which brings up the opportunities which an open, innovative environment actually enables. So, again, after that excursion into what we are doing, let's see how we are working with the industry to make it a reality. So, please welcome my second guest here, Falk Weinreich. Please come up. He is the General Manager of Central Europe at OVH Cloud.
Hi, Stephan. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Frank. So what is OVH Cloud doing?
Oh, yeah, good question. We are probably one of the early birds here. We've been founded 25 years ago as a cloud service provider. We are, according to IDC, within the top 10 global players of the world, the only European service provider. So we are around in the cloud industry since many years. And yeah, what makes us special, I would say, is we are not just data sovereign by nature, because no Cloud Act, but we are transparent, accessible, fair. So cloud should never be a prison. So it's about a free cloud. That's our DNA.
So our talk here is about AI. So can you explain a little bit what you're doing about AI, and specifically with us at Intel?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, AI is not just one thing like a model, learning, deploying. It's the whole value chain. You start basically collecting data. You need to process the data, store the data, before you come to any kind of modeling, to train your models, to interfere with your models, and related to deploy them. So it's the entire value chain which makes AI interesting for us and obviously for our customers. And that's how we use it. So from bare metal, private cloud to public cloud, everywhere basically, we have your technology which we use for our customers. And that's kind of where we use your technology in AI.
So one specialized question, I was talking a little bit about enabling the CPUs for AI with technologies like AMX without going into detail. Is that something which is important to you?
Very much indeed. Maybe just, I should do a promo on products here, but there's one bestseller we have in our bare metal range, which is called Scale Server. And that is exactly using your fourth generation AMX Xeon processor. So we use them not just for some customers who might use it for like the deep learning boost, who might use it for AI in principle. It has also the SGX It's a bit of a side effect, not really maybe for AI, but it's confidential computing, and it makes it a very special offer. In Germany, we would say an eierlegende Wollmilchsau.
Okay.
Something like,
I like
you
that.
serve many things for many purposes. And that's, by the way, why it makes us one of the best sellers we have.
Okay, that's great. Falk, thanks a lot for coming up and joining me here on stage. And I'm looking forward
You're very welcome,
to work
Stephan.
together in the future. Thanks,
See you.
Falk.
Bye. Thank you.
There's not just one service provider out there, right? We are also working with one of the prominent service providers here in Germany, Jonas. And couldn't come up here on stage today, but I can tell you that we have tested together with Jonas the 4th generation. We're in the 5th generation of Xeon. They have tested the 4th generation, which already has those AI capabilities. And testing is better than believing. So we did some tests together for a particular use case they have in terms of generating web pages. Well, who likes to generate code for web pages? Hands up? Exactly nobody, right? Because it's kind of boring. So that's one of the usage models for AI, right? Get rid of the boring stuff and do the creative stuff. So it's a key application, and what we have done is that it's actually suitable to run this on a Xeon in terms of the inferencing using a specific LLM, large language model, Llama 2 7B. Who has heard about Llama 2 and Llama in general? Okay, I'm testing your AI savvy here a little bit. That's the things you will get a little bit more used to. This is an open, smaller sized LLM, which is very usable for specific use cases like that. So another one where you see it's becoming reality, AI everywhere is becoming reality for really concrete use cases. Now, Falk mentioned one thing he likes about the processes we are doing and the technology there, which is actually the confidentiality technology, the trusted execution environment we are providing with that. And I think this brings up the 4th pillar I was speaking about before in a little bit more detail. What we really need to do, because AI is handling a lot of data, we need to protect the data in all stages, in storage, in processing, in a trusted execution environment. And that's what we are doing also with software tools like the Trust Authority, bringing it all together so that for the upcoming and the existing and the upcoming regulations, you are at least technically ready to comply with those. My colleague, Markus Leberecht, is speaking about the path to confidential AI in a little bit more detail tomorrow, so I can only recommend to attend that session tomorrow. Now, the whole thing is not only the underlying technology. When you speak about securing and managing the risk of AI, in this specific case of large language models, you cannot only provide the underlying technology. You also need to work on what is on top of that, and what is on top of that is the software stack I was describing before, and at the very top is the models, the large language models, right, which we were speaking about before, like Llama 2, 7B, or others. Now, it is important that we make sure that those large language models are really secure in a way that you can't do so-called prompt injection to get information out of the model, which you actually don't, the model creator or the operator doesn't really want. Like, tell me your IP address. Or basically, when somebody injects personal information into the model, that's really dangerous because you don't want to have this information in the model. Somebody who is capable of getting this out again by doing specialized prompts might get that information out again. So we're working with a company, another startup, which is called Prediction Guard. They are based in the US, and they do a software which they have trained and which they also run on our Intel Developer Cloud on the Gaudi 2 platform. So that specialized AI accelerator to protect those LLMs from doing things you don't want. For instance, also using bad language, because you can trick those LLMs into doing bad language as well, because they were trained on data from the internet. There's a lot of bad language on the internet, so you can basically get this out of an LLM answering in language which we don't all want, right? So how do I avoid that? It's things like this software, which we have to put alongside on top of LLMs. If you want to see that in action, we have a demo at our booth. Please come and look at it. I've talked about the Developer Cloud already. So this is actually a cloud which we came up with to make sure all of the technologies I was speaking about today, the software, the hardware, is available to cloud users instantly, and not always have to wait for a big cloud service provider to implement it. So we can put it out for people to test, and we get back, basically, we make sure that this is actually working. So you can get started with that, right, using the technology we have with early technology access. But on top of that, we are putting massive hardware into the Developer Cloud, though it's not only for tiny application testing. You can actually test it and run it on large scale. So Prediction Guard was using it as I described it. B1 with Ahmed before, they are using the Developer Cloud as well. So it's a way to bring our technology to the end users with the Developer Cloud. Now, I've also spoken about how we work with startups. You saw 2 startups today, B1 and Prediction Guard, which we have a demo with at our booth. What we're doing to bring our technology together with the innovation we see from those startups, we do this around a program which we call Liftoff. And this basically gives those AI startups an environment, for instance, the Developer Cloud, but also contact to others, contact to our technical experts within our company and outside of our company. It gives them visibility like here. So it's a program to really promote what startups are doing. And remember, all the innovations we see in AI, a lot of them come from startups. So for instance, here in Europe, Mistral AI, they weren't around much longer than a year. There's many other examples as well where the very young companies, very young startups who really drive technology forward. That is why it's important to make sure they have access to the technology which we are doing, and we do this with the Liftoff program. My colleague, Ralph, is also around. He's heading up that Liftoff program. Come and see us, and if you're a startup, that might be an interesting thing for you. Now, I spoke about this a couple of times. It's good to have all these AI applications in the cloud, but we also want them on our personal devices. That's happening today and will happen even more. So we need to make sure that we have a seamless edge-to-cloud collaboration here, where we basically send things around to the cloud which are okay from a privacy perspective, which are protected by technology, and run those things where we have increased confidentiality requirements or latency requirements on a client device. And there's plenty of examples for that, right? For instance, in healthcare, that's a very touchy subject. You don't want to send a lot of your data around if you don't need to. So as much as we can do on a client, the better it is. There's examples also in enterprise where you need to protect the data in a way, sometimes to keep it really private on one machine. This is where this hybrid environment comes into play. So the thing is, we need to enable AI on the cloud. I've shown you that with our technology. We also need to do that on personal devices and primarily our work devices, notebooks. So how do we do that? So late last year, we launched a new processor here, which we call the Intel Core Ultra processor. And this is actually the first example where we bring a lot of technology together in a client device. The standard CPU setup, so you can run fast applications, standard applications, and portions of the AI. A GPU, which we integrate into our processors since a long time already. For graphics, we can use it for AI now as well. And new is a so-called NPU, Neural Processing Unit, to run certain AI workloads on a very low energy level, so that it fits onto a laptop, which you often run without any power connection, and you want to have those AI applications running in the background, enhancing the things you do with virtual assistants and other things in your daily applications. So you do that by bringing all of that technology together into one device, which you can use in your clients. And this is what we do as a first instance with Intel Core Ultra. So this is a technology which I think enables a lot of things which people have been asking for, and we look forward to see it out there. And it's out there in the market already, so you can look at it. So with that, let me finish. I think and I hope that we had a nice journey right now, showing you some examples of how AI is going everywhere. And we will see that in the future into many, many more applications. And I think there's not a lot of applications which will not use AI. I usually use this example when I get questions on, okay, how important is AI? So my comparison is the internet. So there's no applications today which are not networked, almost none. True? How long did it take us? Roughly 20 years? Roughly. Maybe even more. But it was happening. It was happening not that fast, because for the internet you need to put infrastructure into place. In AI, we see the same thing, the same influence to applications, but it's happening much, much faster. I would say by a factor of 10 almost, where we see AI going into all of these applications in a similar way. With that, I hope you enjoyed what I was talking about today, the hardware, the software, the ecosystem we are providing, and some nice examples. With that, thanks a lot.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Stephan, before I let you go, quick question to the crowd. How do you know when your IT team is going on a week-long vacation? Their backpack has 2 laptops and 1 T-shirt. All right.
Right.
So
that's the important part.
That's,
Two
see,
laptops.
now I
You can
have
use the T-shirt, right?
I have 4 computers. I have 2 laptops and 2 workstations at home. You're saying that in 4 years, 70% of my computers are going to be AI enabled. Am I going to have to take out an extra loan? How much price increase? Any forecasts on that?
Oh, that's the trick. You buy new hardware anyway, right? And we bring the technology into that hardware, so you kind of get
Wonderful. Good. Well, I feel better.
you can use it.
I was over there. I was going to say, honey, I got to take out a loan and buy more computers. I'm sorry. I have to. It's my job. I was about to have that excuse.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Stephan, thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
your time. Cheers.